I look absolutely disgusting. But that is not why I'm here today to complain about classes. I'm here to talk about what I read for the month of November. Hey everyone, it's Haley and welcome back to my channel. It's finally December. I'm finally finishing up classes, thank God. I'll be done by the end of this week, but I thought I would just come in with like a little short November wrap up. November was a very good reading month for me. I finished 6 books, which was a lot more than what I finished in October since I was so busy with school in October. I'm just glad I was able to read a lot this past month. So without further ado, let's just kind of like get into it. So the first one I read was Aurora Rising by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, and this is a sci-fi series about this group of like humans and aliens, and they're in this academy to like help defend the galaxy and stuff. They're like the military, they're training for the military, and one day one of them finds a shipcraft that is signaling an SOS, and so he finds Ari, who is a girl from Earth who has been in cryosleep for like over 200 years, and so they're trying to figure out what Ari's purpose is, what happened to her, and what makes her so special. And I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really fun. I'm not one to read science fiction just because the science fiction I've read in the past, Zenith, was just very bad and I did not like it. I like J. Kristoff a lot, so I read this for school for one of my projects and I'm very glad I did. It was very fun and I'm gonna be continuing the series. So whenever Aurora Burning comes out in paperback, I'm definitely gonna buy it just because I want my editions to match. So 4 out of 5 stars, very good. The next one I read was also for school for the same project as Aurora Rising, and that was Digg by A.S. King, and this is a familial drama about how family ties are connected within secrets and how old conceptions can be changed with newer generations and stuff, and it was phenomenal. This book was better than I thought it was going to be. So I give this book 5 out of 5 stars just because I was so impacted by it. Like, it was something I would never have picked up myself, and it was just so out of the blue. It was so different. It was so uncomfortable to read, but that was the whole point of this book. It was such a great story to show that, you know, like, you aren't your parents, you aren't your grandparents. You can change generations of hate and stereotypes and stuff just because the times are changing and stuff isn't as what it was whenever your grandparents were young, if that makes sense. So I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was very good, very surprising. It's a standalone, and it was like probably my favorite one out of the books I actually had to read for class. So this was a pleasant surprise. Okay, so the next one was for class, and it's called The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Alir Sains. I don't remember how to pronounce his name like at all. This is about a white boy who was adopted into a Mexican family, and he's trying to figure out what he wants to do for college the next year, and he's trying to figure out kind of who he is as like his life kind of starts to crumble around him in terms of like his family ties and his friendships. I did not like this book. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, and I know this is a very popular book apparently. On Goodreads it's rated like 4.5 stars out of 5, and I don't get it. I thought the writing was bad. I didn't really relate to the main character. I thought his struggles were just a little too much. Like I know people who are adopted and like I get it. And like I understand that you need to like find yourself before you move on in your stages of life, but you know, like there were other good books to choose instead of this one, and my copy was missing about 80 pages from the binding, so I guess maybe that was why I didn't like it, because I was missing some. I don't know, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Wasn't as good as I was expecting. It was a little too dramatic for it being like, oh, a senior in high school learning to... Hi, bubbers. Hi, bubbers. He was probably smelling my boyfriend on this because this is my boyfriend's. But yeah, I did not like this as much as I was really hoping I would. I just think my professor could have picked better books than this one, so 2 out of 5 stars. Okay, the next one was also for class. As you can see, there's a trend of finishing books for class, but that's okay. And The next book I read was The Music of What Happens by Bill Koenigsberg, and I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was cute in terms of like romance wise. I really liked the romance aspect of it. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very heartwarming, and I did get to meet the author of this book for my class because my professor knew the author, so that was very cool. But this book is about a guy. His name is Jordan. See, I don't really remember half of the stuff in this book. Like, I can't remember their names at all. But it's about this kid named Jordan. His father passed away, so his mom and him tried to reopen his dad's like food truck to try and get money to pay the bills. And so on the first day, his mom says she can't handle it, so she basically puts this whole responsibility on her son to make sure that he earns enough money in the summer so where they can keep their house, because she's still like grief-stricken of losing her husband, that she can't go out and get a job and provide for her family. I don't know, I think it was very hard to believe that an adult would push that responsibility on their son while they're in high school too. So it was just not very good in terms of like the whole plot line. And then the love interest, Max, he gets recruited to work on the food truck, and so they kind of fall in love over the course of the summer. And it covers, you know, like mental illness, toxic masculinity. So I kind of like it how it touched on that, and like sexual abuse and sexual assault. So I like the way like the author covered that topic, but I felt like the plot was just a little hard to believe, and that kind of like took me out of it because I was just constantly like, they shouldn't be doing this, they're high schoolers, like your mom should be the one figuring out how to pay the mortgage, you know. So that was just kind of a little much for me, so 3 out of 5 stars. So the next one I read was The Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, and this is about a girl named Amelia. She's a witch in historic Palermo, Italy, and one night her sister gets brutally murdered, and so she contacts one of the 7 princes of hell, and she gets in contact with Wrath to help try and find her murderer. She tries to find the murder of her sister, and this book was so magical and so beautifully written, and like, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book was so magical and beautiful, and like the tension, like the sexual tension was so good. This is probably gonna be like up there next to Court of Thorns and Roses in terms of like my favorite book ever, because it resonated with me so well, and it was just so beautiful. I loved it to death. I loved the character seemed so real, because as a sister myself, I understood where Amelia was coming from. Like, if my sister was brutally murdered, of course I would be out for vengeance. I would want to find her murderer and like kill him. I understood that. I fell in love with the relationships, like I fell in love with Wrath, I fell in love with Amelia. Like, this book was so beautiful, and like, I'm trying to get my hands on a Fairy Loot edition of this book just because it means so much to me. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. I can't wait for the sequel. And technically the last book I read was The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen, and this is about a girl named Lara. She has been trained since she was a child to be married to the king of a other nation so that she can get that nation's secrets and help with the downfall of that country. So she ends up getting married to the king of this other country, and she ends up, you know, falling for him while like questioning herself and her duty. It's so good. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was just enough steam, but like it's not very spicy as I was thinking it was gonna be, but it was very romantic in terms of like enemies to lovers, from like friends to lovers, if that makes sense. So it was very fun, and I thought it was just very good. I really loved Lara as a character. She was so strong and like sassy, and I loved seeing that. I loved the internal dialogue. I loved this book. This is actually the Bay Crate limited edition, so it's got this really pretty embossing on the front. It's very pretty. So Bridge Kingdom, 4 out of 5 stars. Very, very good. I loved it. And okay, so technically the last one I don't think will count, but I'm gonna count it anyway. And so I read my own book for November, and that is The Serpent and the Princess by yours truly, Haley Calvin. and it's about like a 50-page ebook, and you can buy it on Amazon for 99 cents now. And it's a retelling of Hades and Persephone, and I just reread it just because I wanted to, see what it looked like as an ebook, and it was really fun. I loved it. I'm biased, so 5 out of 5 stars. But if you're interested in it, I'm going to leave the purchase link below and then the Goodreads link below so you can add it to your shelf. I love it. It's a key to my heart, so 5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please do. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, your opinions, and I just want you to tell me what you thought of it. So that was technically the last thing I read for the month of November. So that just kind of wraps everything up. But I don't really have an outro. Just thank you for watching, sticking with me. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and I guess I'll just see you next time. So bye guys.